상품권? Secured. 적금 account? Secured. Credit card? Secured. Maybe. What is something that a regular 9-to-5 herb sitting at their desk having just finished their work for the weekend nursing a hangover from the night before can do to make themselves more greenery? Well, you're watching Sekkider, and this is episode 4. Research. So up until now, I've basically just been dropping practical knowledge that I think everybody can and should pursue. And this has been mostly stuff that I think a lot of people that have been here for a minute are already doing. So if there's one thing that isn't common amongst foreigners in the 8-2 or just people across the world in general, it's researching the financial tools available to them and the economic climate around them. Now, this is not to disparage anyone for not doing so, as I recognize that people may not have the time, resources, or emotional energy to spend on financial education. But I hope that simply finding and watching these videos has made it clear how available simple financial tools are to you. I personally intend to keep on making videos on this channel and sharing the things that I learned to make it easier for all of us to keep track of and access the resources available to us. So make sure to check back here every week. But as with anything, one source is rarely enough. And I am sure that if we as a community pool our resources and communicate our W's, we can all come up together. There are dozens of ways to save money in Korea. Whether it's something as simple as making use of Naver Pay's cash equivalent point system, selling your old clothes on musinsa marketplace, or using apps like Tangun to get money for things that you were planning on throwing out anyways, there are many basic simple adjustments that you can make to ensure that you're not leaking cash unnecessarily. So to wrap up this introductory series, I'm just going to go through a list of things that we can all do to save money that doesn't include telling you not to buy anything because, let's face it, we like things and we're going to buy stuff anyways. The first thing I want to say, purchase your things online. It's a very simple change. Whether it's clothes, shoes, foods, bikes, stationery, frivolous stuff, there's a good chance that whatever you're looking for will be cheaper online. And this isn't one of those things where I'm recommending a specific vendor, because if you just go on Naver and search for whatever it is you want to buy and click on the shopping tab, they'll do a lot of the comparisons for you. They'll compare the major and minor distributors, their price points, and their products. Then, once you find a good price point, check to make sure that you can use Naver Pay, because if you use Naver Pay, you can collect points, which then can be used like cash on any other purchase that you make through Naver Pay in the future. Then when you get your thing, bang out a quick review, which can be done in English, and enjoy an immediate deposit into your point total. Now, unlike shopping back home where your purchases take up to a week to arrive, the post office and general tech-based services here are quick. And as long as you live on the main peninsula, there's a likely chance that you'll get whatever you order within 2 days. For purchases like clothing and apparel, most websites will deliver for free. But if you want to be sure that there are no additional charges, just click on the filters and look for 무료 배송. If you're not comfortable buying clothes online and have no experience using size charts, go to a shop that carries the brand you're looking at, figure out your size, and buy it online. Sure, you'll have to wait, but even if you still have to pay full price, you're probably still going to be getting cash back in the form of points on top of the cash back that you're probably getting with your card. Alright, number 2. Look it up and figure out whether or not your town has a 상품권. The first video that I made was on 오늘이 상품권, which provides an immediate 5% return and can be used nationally. This is really convenient, especially if you're a foreigner who travels a lot and you have a lot of friends around the country, because it's always good to be able to use a 상품권 you have wherever you go. I mean, last week I was in Gwangju at the car hire shop and I noticed that I could use my 상품권 there. And having it so readily available and useful in places like a big chain like Carhartt is incredible. But the majority of towns and cities out there have their own version of a 상품권 that can often go for sales that are greater than 5%. Examples of this include the 서울 사랑 상품권. You have 울산패 여수 상품권, 진주 사랑 상품권. Like every city, every town, even Wando, that tiny island on the tip, they have one of their own. And it's really, really helpful to know whether or not there's one available to your specific locale. Check back every once in a while. Just find their website, the city website or the district website, and they'll have updates whenever there's a big sale. If you're well and settled and you know anyone that works in a bank, You can also hit them up and just tell them to give you any updates for when the sales pop up. That way you can take advantage of them right away. You may not even need to, but if you can get a 10% return on cash, then there's no reason not to, in my opinion. Alright, another thing that you can do is just keep up with local news. I know that a lot of us don't even really pay attention to what's going on, other than the big ticket issues like some giant controversy, whether it's sexual harassment from a celebrity or, I don't know, somebody dies. But it is helpful to know what's going on within the country, within the markets, what's happening around us. Because if we are up to date, we know what moves we can and should be making. For example, if you'd been in the country around 2012 and were looking to buy real estate, you would have been able to take advantage of the government's fiscal policies that led to a drastic reduction in housing price. The real estate market in Korea is very dependent on what the government's policies are, and since that time, the reduction in price has recovered and surpassed the point that it was before it was enacted. And if you had been aware of what was going on and you had bought real estate back then, you can get a significant return now that the housing market is once again red hot. The last thing that I want to mention is to learn Korean. Now, I don't want this to get guilt trippy or anything, but if you've been here for an extended amount of time and you still don't know any Korean, there's a really good chance that you're missing out on a lot of the benefits that come from being in casual conversation with the people that you see on a regular basis. While all the things I mentioned before are standard and above board and something that's easily accessible to us, we're still foreigners in a country and in cities where we don't know that many people and don't have that much clout. Networking in 2020 is essential and can make the difference between getting what you paid for and getting significantly more than what you paid for. It can be the difference between your coworker hooking you up with a reliable car salesman that they've known since middle school and having to choose out of a newspaper. I live in a small city, and last week for the first time, I got to get a real nice haircut in the place that I live with a proper fade because the guy who sits next to me had a friend that he knew from high school who'd just gotten back from Seoul and who'd opened his own barbershop. That's the type of thing that I would not have been aware of had I not been able to communicate with the person next to me. One more thing that is also really helpful about knowing Korean is that you can bargain, or you can ask for more things, or you can ask whether or not you're getting what you want. Charisma, kindness, geniality, all of that goes a long way, but there's also a point at which you cannot take it any further if you have limited language ability. Real talk though, all you really need to do is think about where you're spending your money and how you're spending your money. Come back here, I'll give you tips, but you live your life. If you're at a place where you want to be saving money and making your money work for you, keep coming back, keep the conversation going, keep suggesting things in the comment section below. If not, that's completely fine too. I'm not here to judge your value system or whatever. But I would still appreciate it if you came back so that we can grow this channel and grow this community together. So simply, to wrap it up, do your research. If you're Canadian, McGill provides a free personal finance course that only takes a few hours and can help you get your money right for when you get back home. Otherwise, there are hundreds of financial gurus on the internet giving out simple and actionable financial literacy tips. Whether or not capitalism is inherently evil is a different discussion for a different video. But there's nothing inherently evil about trying to make sure that you and yours are financially secure, especially if you're doing so in objectively ethical ways. Anyways, that's about it for me. Once again, please like and subscribe down low. It takes a long time for me to put all of this together, and as long as you're all out here taking it in, I'm happy to keep making the product. Come back next time when I'll give a quick breakdown on the Kospi, Kindex, and all the Korean markets as a whole. Starting to seem like COVID season is back upon us, so wear a mask and stay safe.